Breaking news. The Las Vegas Raiders are preparing for a major move in the 2025 NFL Draft. And today, we're diving straight into the biggest question on every fan's mind. Which quarterback will the Raiders pick this year? The Raiders need a true leader under center, and that means choosing the right quarterback is more important than ever. In this video, we're counting down the top 10 quarterbacks who could be wearing the silver and black next season. From the least likely at number 10, all the way to the number 1 most likely pick. And we're not just guessing. We've done the research, watched the game tape, and followed the behind-the-scenes buzz. The draft is full of surprises, but when it comes to the Raiders, we're connecting the dots to bring you the most likely pick. Before listening to the latest news, subscribe to the channel, like it, and don't forget to press the bell icon. Let's move on to the new news. Starting with number 10, Dillon Gabriel from Oregon. He's a bit older and not the biggest quarterback, but he's got serious experience. If you liked Bo Nix's style last year, Gabriel brings that same confidence in the pocket. He's calm, steady, and knows how to command the field. But there are questions, too. His deep throws aren't always consistent, and he might not be the best fit for every offense. And here's the key detail. The Raiders didn't even meet with Gabriel during the scouting process. Out of all the quarterbacks on the list, he's the only one they didn't talk to. That tells us a lot. If every other top quarterback is taken early, maybe, just maybe, the Raiders consider Gabriel. But as it stands, he's not high on their radar. Let's keep going with our countdown of quarterbacks the Las Vegas Raiders might target in the 2025 NFL Draft. At number 9, Cam Miller from North Dakota State. He's a smart player with good awareness in the pocket, and while he doesn't have the typical NFL size, he knows how to lead a team. Miller helped his school win 2 FCS national championships, so he's a winner. But here's the catch. His arm strength isn't ideal. He struggles with deep throws and doesn't have the full range needed to hit every part of the field. Now, if the Raiders only draft one quarterback, Miller might be a long-shot pick in the later rounds, maybe round 6 or 7. He did have a top 30 visit with the Raiders, which means they're at least keeping tabs on him. But still, he feels more like an emergency backup than a future starter. At number 8, Ethan Garbers from UCLA. This name might surprise you, but Garbers has some history with coach Chip Kelly, which could catch the Raiders' interest. He's known for being a leader and a team-first guy. He's not expected to be a starter at the NFL level, but he could add depth to the QB room, especially in late rounds or even as an undrafted signing. Garbers would likely be competing with names like Carter Bradley, and while he's got good attitude and leadership, he's probably not a strong contender for the future starting role in Vegas. Now, let's get to someone that's actually creating some buzz. At number 7, Kyle McCord from Syracuse. This guy has potential. He played in a pro-style offense and is known for attacking the field at all levels. He's got a strong arm and isn't afraid to take risks. Sometimes, maybe a few too many risks. He plays like a gunslinger, and that can lead to turnovers. Still, McCord has real upside. If the Raiders are looking for a young quarterback to develop over the next few years, he might be the right fit. He even met with the team at the NFL Combine, which shows they're interested. Now let's move on to number 6 on the Raiders' quarterback radar, Tyler Shough from Louisville. This guy brings a mountain of experience, 7 years of college football under his belt. He's a traditional pocket passer and can make almost every throw on the field. His deep ball? Impressive. When he's in rhythm, he can carve up defenses. But every quarterback has flaws. Shough isn't a strong athlete, and when the play breaks down, he tends to panic. Under pressure, he struggles, and that's something the Raiders will have to seriously consider, especially with how fast and tough NFL defenses are. There are some teams in the league that really like this guy. Some scouts even say he could sneak into the late first round, which would be a shocker. But if that happens, he's likely out of reach for the Raiders, who hold pick number 37. Here's what makes things interesting. Shough did have a top 30 visit with the Raiders. That shows there's real interest. He also has the kind of decision-making and field presence that matches what the Raiders are looking for in a future quarterback. Because of that, he ranks higher than someone like Kyle McCord, even though McCord might be available later in the draft. So, there you have it, our breakdown of the first 5 quarterbacks the Raiders might draft. But now, things get serious. The top 5 quarterbacks are names every fan should know, real contenders who could be the future face of the franchise. Now we've reached the top 5 quarterbacks the Las Vegas Raiders might target, and trust me, this is where things get exciting. At number 5, we've got Jaxson Dart from Ole Miss. This kid is a wild card. Some games, he looks like a future star with a rocket arm and that confident, fearless energy every fan loves. Other times, he looks like a work in progress who still needs polishing. What makes him interesting for the Raiders is his clear improvement over the last 3 years in the SEC. That shows he's coachable, a big deal when you're talking about a young QB stepping into the NFL. He's got swagger, athleticism, and when his footwork is on point, his deep ball is one of the best in the class. But when those mechanics break down, the results can get messy. Still, the Raiders met with him formally at the NFL Combine and brought him in for a top 30 visit. That's a real sign of interest. He also has a connection with Jackson Powers Johnson, his former high school teammate, and relationships like that do matter in building chemistry within the team. Dart is unpredictable in terms of where he'll be drafted. Some say top 10, others think round 3. If he's still available when the Raiders are on the clock at pick 37, that could be the moment he gets that call. Now, let's talk about number 4, Shedeur Sanders. A lot of people have him going early, but here's the twist. It would be surprising if the Raiders take him at pick 6. That doesn't mean he's not talented. He's incredibly accurate, mentally tough, and has grown a lot from his Jackson State days to leading Colorado. But there are questions. Not about his skills under pressure. He's shown he can handle the spotlight. No, it's about how NFL teams view his personality and leadership behind the scenes. Those are the kinds of things front offices take seriously. Still, the Raiders have shown serious interest. Sanders had a formal meeting with them at the Combine and even a top 30 visit. And let's not ignore this. Tom Brady has been mentoring Sanders since 2020. That connection matters, especially now that Brady has a voice inside the Raiders organization. Coach Deion Sanders himself has even expressed his wish to see his son in a Raiders jersey. Could this be fate? If the Raiders don't take him at 6 and Sanders is still on the board later, don't be shocked if Vegas makes a move. When it comes to the Raiders' quarterback plans, all signs are pointing in one direction, day 3 of the NFL Draft. Now, let's make one thing clear. If the Raiders pass on a high-profile name like Shedeur Sanders early, it's not by accident. It means they've made that decision with full confidence, and confidence is exactly what's driving the strategy behind these next 3 quarterbacks. None are guaranteed stars, but all 3 carry intriguing upside. And if Las Vegas makes a move, it's likely going to be late in the draft. Let's kick off with number 3, Jalen Milroe. The buzz around Milroe is real. He's the most athletic quarterback in this entire draft class. That's not an exaggeration. It's a fact. His legs can flip a game in seconds. But while his mobility is top tier, questions remain about his accuracy and decision-making. Last season, especially in the pocket, there were some inconsistencies. Still, his deep ball passing improved dramatically, and that's where things get interesting. Milroe isn't a quarterback you throw into the fire right away. He's a development piece. And the Raiders? They're in a perfect position to play that long game. With Geno Smith likely holding down the fort for the next couple years, Milroe could sit, learn, and grow, just like a young QB should. The Raiders were impressed by his interviews. They liked his mentality, his preparation, and how he carries himself under pressure. That's the kind of stuff that speaks to guys like Tom Brady and the current leadership. Milroe even had a formal Combine interview and a top 30 visit with Vegas. Now, if you remember, not long ago the Raiders were reportedly interested in Joe Milton, another quarterback with elite athleticism. If they're still chasing that prototype, Jalen Milroe could be their guy, a perfect backup to groom into a future threat. Let's move on to number 2, Will Howard out of Ohio State. Not too long ago, Howard was the top name linked to Las Vegas. He checked several boxes: great size, solid arm strength, and the ability to move around in and outside the pocket. Those traits are especially valuable in Chip Kelly's offense, which thrives on mobility and quick decisions. What holds Howard back a bit is this: he's not someone who throws his receivers open. He needs to see the route develop fully before pulling the trigger. That's a skill that can be improved with coaching, but it does create hesitation when facing aggressive NFL defenses. Still, the Raiders know what he brings to the table. He's tough, experienced, and fits their mold of a quarterback they can build around. Not instantly, but over time. Howard may have dropped to number 2 on this list, but make no mistake, he's still very much in the mix for the silver and black. Let's talk about potential, and who fits the Raiders' long-term vision better than anyone else right now. Coming in at number 1, the quarterback most likely to end up in the silver and black in the 2025 NFL Draft. Quinn Ewers. Let's be honest, a few months ago, no one was connecting Ewers to the Raiders, but now, the signs are everywhere, and where there's smoke, there's usually a fire. Ewers has been turning heads in all the right rooms, and most importantly, he's been in all the right rooms with the Raiders. He had a combine meeting, a pro day connection, and a top 30 visit. He's the only quarterback prospect in this class to check all 3 boxes for Vegas. That alone makes him stand out. Now, let's get real about his game. Ewers has a cannon for an arm. He can zip the ball across the field, no doubt. His mechanics? Still a work in progress, but what separates him is his toughness. He plays hurt, he plays hungry, and he doesn't shy away from pressure. Add to that a quick release, something Tom Brady built his legacy on, and you start to see why this kid is getting serious looks. But the real magic lies in the connections. Head coach Steve Sarkisian, who developed Ewers at Texas, has deep ties to Pete Carroll, having worked under him at USC, and that kind of background matters to people like Mark Davis. This isn't just about football talent, it's about organizational trust, history, and football DNA, and those links run deep. The Raiders have a 2 to 3 year window with Geno Smith. They're not desperate to throw a rookie into the fire. That's why Ewers makes sense. He's a development project with a high ceiling. Let him sit. Let him grow. Let the coaching staff, Chip Kelly, Tom Brady, John Spytek, Pete Carroll, do what they do best. Build quarterbacks from the ground up. If you're looking for the Raiders' future at quarterback, keep your eye on Quinn Ewers. The signs aren't subtle anymore. They're flashing. Let's wrap this quarterback conversation with the final verdict. The name that keeps popping up more than any other: Quinn Ewers. All signs point to the Raiders making a move for a quarterback on day 3 of the NFL Draft. And when you line up talent, availability, and system fit, Ewers stands out as the most likely choice. He's hovering right around that 4th to 5th round range, which aligns perfectly with Las Vegas's current draft strategy. Right behind him, Will Howard. These two are clearly the top-tier quarterback prospects in the Raiders' crosshairs. If both are off the board or plans shift, there's still a strong second wave to consider. Jalen Milroe, Shedeur Sanders, and Jaxson Dart are in that next group of intriguing possibilities. Each one brings something unique to the table, especially as long-term development projects. Behind them, we've got the deep sleeper tier, names like Tyler Show, Kyle McCord, Ethan Garbers, and Cam Miller. These are the types of quarterbacks who could go undrafted but might find themselves in a Raiders jersey if the board doesn't fall as expected. And there's one more name worth mentioning: Cam Ward. He had a top 30 visit with the Raiders, which means the organization did its homework. But with buzz placing him as a potential top overall pick, likely landing with the Tennessee Titans, he's probably out of reach. At the end of the day, it's clear: the Raiders will take a quarterback in this draft. And when they do, expect fireworks. This team isn't just looking for a name, they're searching for the future of the franchise. Whoever it is, draft night will be unforgettable in Raider Nation.